Well, Rafael Saliés, Brazilian Operations Director for Southern Pulse, joins me now to digest all of this. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Now, Rafael, as we saw there, Dilma Rousseff spoke about a number of her economic achievements during her presidency, but even before the impeachment vote, Brazil in deep recession, also struggling with public debt and obviously the business-related scandals when it comes to Petrobras. What do you think was the tipping point for Brazilians?
Well, the tipping point for her impeachment was definitely the release of the wiretaps of her conversation between former President Lula and herself regarding him becoming a minister in her government. That definitely created the political momentum that was needed to overturn a number of votes in the lower house and make it possible for the Senate to suspend her from her office.
So do you think without that, the people would have been happy? Were they happy with the job she was doing?
No, they were very unhappy, matter of fact. But there wasn't enough political momentum on the streets to push the lower house towards a successful vote to send the process of impeachment towards the Senate.
Now, in terms of her popularity, Rousseff also touched on some issues, talking about the reforms that were undertaken during her presidency, as well as commodity prices falling and struggling emerging economies. How big of a factor were those issues when it came to her popularity?
It's undeniable that the downfall of commodity prices did hit the government, did hit the Brazilian economy and revenue for the government as a consequence. But to say that it only depended on that, it's a bit short-sighted. The policies that she was citing in her interview are basically part of the Nova Matriz Econômica, which has been in place since more or less 2008, but which was exhausted by 2012. You can see the downturn of Brazilian economic activity and the worsening of Brazil's fiscal situation since 2012. For you to have an example, 2014, which was the year where the government spent the most amount of money, we would have had a small recession if the methodology of evaluating the economy hadn't been changed. Even so, we still grew only 0.1%, if I'm not wrong.
So the underlying reforms weren't effective or weren't really enough to really propel the economy?
Exactly. By the time we hit 2014, the state's ability to propel the economy was exhausted.
Now, let's take another look at how Brazilians and investors are looking at the moment. Obviously, we have Michel Temer now as the interim president. Are people taking a deep breath now that the political upheaval is over, or is it too soon for that?
Well, the streets certainly have taken a deep breath, especially when it comes to the protesters that were anti-Dilma Rousseff. However, they have also seen an upturn of protests against the Temer government, as expected, as a number of leftist movements have taken the streets to denounce his interim administration. At the same time, it is quite curious to see that the largest focus of opposition to Temer has been within Brazilian artists, specifically because of the extinguishing of the Ministry of Culture, which became secretary inside a different ministry.
So with these unpopular reforms then, if he's also now making these cuts, and he's coming in at a time where the country's already in crisis, how are people feeling about him then taking over as interim president? They're
not happy. When polls were made about the option of Temer becoming president following an impeachment, he was only polling at 8%. The majority of the people polled, around 62%, preferred new elections. As that has gone on and he took over the government and his interim administrations has had ebb and flows regarding support, regarding policies, people continue to be unhappy. It's just that he's not Dilma Rousseff. And there resides the main shock towards the economy, and specifically towards the private sector, is simply the fact that he's not Dilma Rousseff.
Well, we're going to be touching more on that in just a moment. You're not going to be going away just yet.
If you like what you just saw, follow us on social media and visit our website, cctv-america.com.